You are now listening to the fastest growing faith-based podcast that empowers, inspires, and motivates your walk with Christ. Ladies, don't you know you are fearfully and wonderfully made? You are far more precious than rubies. You are destiny shakers. Fellas, you are strong, visionaries, and mighty kingdom builders. Together, we are Virtue with Vision, the podcast. We discuss relationships, goals, life, and a whole lot of Jesus. Always remember, you deserve God's best because you are God's best. Let's tune into this week's episode. Welcome to Virtue with Vision, the podcast. I'm your host, Mary Lee Vance, here to remind you that you deserve God's best because you are God's best. Hey guys, it is another week in the Fleshly Date or Godly Mate series, and I am so excited because I have the sweetest man, the man of my dreams, the man that is my everything. My husband is here with us tonight, and I know that we are going to dig into some real things because me and him, we just keep it real wherever we go. And I hope that you guys really enjoyed tonight because I have no idea where tonight is going. So we'll just see where this goes. But say hi to everybody, babe.
Hey, what's up, y'all?
Thank you so much for
Hello
coming.
to everybody. First time seeing me, so what's up?
So, guys, I must tell you, if you guys can already tell, we're very opposite. He doesn't like the spotlight, but when I ask him very nicely, he'll come in and chime in when he needs to. I am the talkative one. He is the chill one. But babe, I am going to dig in on you tonight because people just be thinking that you don't exist, but you're super there. So can you tell everybody like how we met? Because there's new people that have tuned in. There's new people that are getting to know me and us. So how did we meet?
All right. So how we meet or how we met? So basically, we both attended Cal State Fresno back in California, and basically, around that time, all the turn ups started to turn down for the most part. Um, and basically, so one day, Fran decided that he wanted to throw a little kickback, and what happened after that? Yeah, he wanted to throw a little kickback, and someone's birthday party got shut down one place, so it all got sent over to my apartment unit. And eventually, actually earlier that night, before that even happened, uh, I went. So we both knew mutual friends,
Yes.
knew mutual friends or friends that knew each other. I go to, so me and my friend went over to uh, their unit. We all in the same apartment complex. We go to their unit and whatnot. I go in. My friend leaves me behind. Like he doesn't walk in. He like takes off. So I just walk off.
Talk
I say
about you,
hey to
Jonte.
everybody. By the time I realize, like it's just me, and kind of like in a bunch of rooms, a bunch of strangers. So I sat right across from her. She don't remember me saying hi to her initially. I said hi to everybody in the room. She don't
He didn't
remember.
say hi to me. I'm trying to tell you guys, the first time he walked in, I only saw his friend. And his friend was like, messing with one of my mutual friends. So I was just like, oh, it's him. But then I never noticed that Randy was like he wasn't there. He wasn't, I don't remember seeing him. Like,
Uh,
he was there though. He said that he said hi to everybody. He saw me there, and I probably was in my own little world.
I knew the whole seating arrangement and all. But anyway, so continue on from there. So eventually, I get my friends to like actually come in and like bail me out. So they show up. We take off back to my apartment complex or my unit, and party starts happening. whatnot. They eventually show up because I'm like right down the pathway at this specific apartment
Apartment
complex.
complex.
It's just a pathway that goes straight to my apartment complex. So they're in there, they're all, dancing, whatever.
A little
I'm
turned
being in
up.
like security mode because I really don't like people in my like place like that. So I'm more like trying
But
to,
babe, for you to say that you don't like people in your place, you had a whole house full of people when
and
I
that was
went.
like I've been here for like 4 years. That's the only time people were invited to my to my unit to do any kind of like partying, except if it was just me and the homies kicking it. But anyway, night what think the police came, they had to shut it down and whatnot.
Yeah, we
So
partied hard in Cali.
yeah, so police shut it down, and then eventually my homeboy uh and their little Mary's little crew of friends came back over, and what we had played like what had a couple drinks, play some game. I forgot what game we were
I
playing.
think it was
Honest,
like Pictionary or something. It was
it,
something.
it was something,
He was
but
staring at me, guys. He was like looking
so
at
so we were staring
me.
at each other. Okay,
No, no. See,
so
this is when
we
it gets a little hazy because he believes that we were staring at each other, but I just
we were
saw that he was
we made eye
staring at
contact.
me.
We made eye contact. So we was making eye contact, all that stuff, and but yeah, yeah, because I forgot what game we were playing. Like, but we was try to play the game. What was it?
It was.
I don't know. But we try to play. We was playing the game. Eventually, they take off. They leave, and all of a sudden, I get a random Facebook request from
I
her,
feel attacked.
and she claims that I popped up as one of the
You
suggested
so
friends.
did. Like, you guys, now, like when you're on Facebook and they have the suggested friends thing. And I promise you, I had just left the apartment complex.
Stalker.
And I am not a stalker.
Stalker.
Horrible.
Stalker.
So,
She
no.
was feeling the vibes and was like, I need to find out who this is. So,
No,
and
he popped up and I was like, oh, that's the guy that was staring at me at the party. We might as well just friend request him. And that's what happened.
but anyway, we send me a friend request, we chatted, in the messenger, chatting and whatnot. And then shortly after, or like a I'm not sure how long after, but a few weeks after, there's a party by
The cues.
the Q's,
Woo-hoo.
yeah,
Nasty
nasty night, and
nightmare.
uh, you know, she shows up in police officer outfit.
Hello,
I
Miss
showed up
Officer.
as Randy,
Sure did.
best costume ever, best dressed there that night. But we happened to run into each other, so we both didn't know that we was gonna be there. I don't think we really discussed if we were going. I think we both ended up being there,
Yeah.
and we ran into each other, and we danced to quite a few songs, whatnot, and then later on that night,
He gonna
I got
slide
another.
in. No, 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 no. We're not gonna skip this part at
Ain't nothing to
all.
skip.
Yes. First and foremost, guys, he was a not man enough back then. He is very much so man enough now. Thank you, Jesus. But he was not man enough back then to be like, hey, can I have your number? He waited until he got home and was like, let me slide in these DMs and be like, hey, can I get your number? Why couldn't you just ask me at the party, sir?
I was
Durr.
intoxicated. I was under the influence, so
Oh.
I was in my right mind. So,
Do not
but,
lie to these people. Do
but,
not.
but anyway, asked for a number that night, and from there, we start chatting, and honestly, I didn't know that she like lived out here because it was my first time seeing her, and normally, seeing random people show up at the college, usually it's like a friend or a cousin of somebody, and you really don't like you see them for like that one event or that one time, and then they're like gone. So it was like I didn't exactly want to feel like I was like wasting my time trying to talk to somebody that's like another part of the state or country or something like that. But anyway, we started talking and whatnot, and one thing led to another, and we end up started dating. So
Yeah, I mean,
I was,
it was kind of like something that was so easy. And I like telling this part of the story because, and I let Randy tell it because he tells the truth most of the time, but he be trying to add in his own little And I gotta, just step in and just clear that on up. But anyways, what I like the most is up to that point, we were getting to know each other. And it wasn't hard. The first night we hung out, he sat on the opposite side of the couch and I sat on my side and we just talked. We talked the whole night. He didn't try nothing. I mean, he's a guy, so I know he was thinking it. However, he didn't try anything, but he wanted to know me for me. He asked me all kinds of questions. We talked all night. We found common ground. And then we started dating. Now, I know that, the story gets a little hazy because we weren't all together it's been almost 10 years. My good Lord. It wasn't always the easiest thing. It wasn't always, all fun and dandy. We had a really rough time in college. College was full of upsets for me because I'm like, why are we two broke college students trying to make this relationship work? In California at the time, it was super hard to get a job. Everybody was struggling because we're in school and we're trying to work. And so I was upset at the fact that we weren't even able to date. We did not date really during those 3 years. But it was so like we just got together. It was so calm. It was so easy. And it's always been that way. But, after I graduated college, guys, this is when the good stuff starts. After I graduated college, I forced him to propose to me. I sure did. I forced it. I was like, I'm ready to get married. I graduated college. I want this to happen. Make it happen. And I knew everything. I knew what my ring looked like. I knew when the ring arrived at the apartment. I knew everything. It was such a hot mess because our engagement lasted probably 3 months at the max. And
was it 3 months?
I don't know. I'm trying to think.
I would say at least, I know at least a month.
Because if it was in 2014, I graduated in May, and then
it was like late May, early June, something like that.
Yeah, and then we broke up in like August, September, and then I dipped out, and I was like, I'm moving to Atlanta, and yeah, pretty much that's our story. Everyone wants to know like how we made it work. I think a lot of times couples don't understand when you start off in a very young relationship, and it was college, we were kids, we were babies. You don't know who you are, and you have to figure out and trust the process like of who you are. We had to take a break, and it wasn't like a break where I was like, we're going to intentionally get back together. No, he had to work on himself separately, and I had to work on myself in order for this whole marriage thing to work. So I like to open up our show with our story because we're about to go and dive deep into, he saw a little bit of Malcolm and Marie because he came in the room. He was like, is this just a whole bunch of arguing? And we don't really, and I've been still harping on this movie because the movie was annoying, and I'm mad that I watched it. But I really want to hear my husband's take on it and how we can communicate better as people that are involved or people that are in relationships, and our evolvement as well as a couple. So we're going to hop into our first break. You are listening to Virtue with Vision, the podcast with me, Mary Lee Vance. Don't just talk it, you gotta rock it too. What am I talking about? Virtue with Vision Apparel. That's right, my t-shirt line. We not only know we're anointed, but we rock that anointed drip. We read that we should work like Ruth, have discipline like Esther, and pray like Hannah. Why not wear what you believe? Virtue with Vision Apparel line believes that we not only read the word, teach the word, and speak the word, but we wear the word too. Go to www.maryleevance.com today and get your drip today. And always remember, you deserve God's best because you are God's best. Tired of dating the wrong one? Do you keep asking God, where is my Boaz? Are you ready to marry the man of your dreams? Fleshly Date or Godly Mate is the book for you. It gives you insight on the difference of dating with or without God in the middle. And it prepares you for God's best. Always remember, you deserve God's best because you are God's best. You can purchase Fleshly Date or Godly Mate at maryleevance.com. Do you have a small business you want to advertise to the world? Just getting started and need to get your business out to the masses? Are you a known and established and prosperous business looking for ways to advertise your brand? Virtue with Vision, the podcast, would love to partner with you. We welcome all brands and organizations. All serious inquiries, please email virtuewithvision@gmail.com. Again, that's virtuewithvision@gmail.com. And always remember, you deserve God's best because you are God's best. Welcome back to Virtue with Vision, the podcast. I'm your host, Mary Lee Vance, here to remind you that you deserve God's best because you are God's best. I have this cute, amazing, handsome, sexy man of mine, my husband, Randy. Say hi to everybody, babe.
What's up?
So we were just talking about our story, and it just brings me like so much joy to know where we started and where we are, and it's almost been a whole decade. So babe, I want to talk to you about communication. I know that you saw the partial movie. I think you walked in the beginning of Malcolm and Marie and then walked in probably in the middle. What did you get from that movie when you saw it?
Well, of course, for the majority of it, I think for most people, it was a bunch of arguing and things like that. But some of the parts I actually sat in for, it was, some of the dialogue between them, kind of like they knew each other's story, I guess, or background, and I will guess their deepest, darkest secrets of each other, and but for the most part, what stuck out to me is like how they spoke to each other, as much as us being together for about 10 years, the one things we never did was cross the line, and how we spoke to each other, and things like that. It was never anything disrespectful said to once another. And from that movie, at least from the parts I saw. So of course, anybody who saw the whole movie is probably that's not everything that they did. For the most part, from what I saw, yeah, that's what they did. So, but yeah, it's just how they spoke to each other, and you never wanna, try to break your partner down to the point where, you're trying to crush them, off from your words, and things that you probably only know that they probably only told you and nobody else. You don't want to turn, out of anger or frustration towards that person. You never want to turn around and use, the secrets that they told you that they probably felt ashamed of themselves of. You don't want to turn around and use it against them just to like prove a point or win an argument. And that's something that we never done. We never,
Mm-mm.
it never got to that. But even like we got enough sense not to do that. And plus, things that we probably where we have to have like real talks about, it was, first of all, if we had to, gave it like some time to breathe or whatnot, and self reflect. There's always, you know,
That's your favorite
you know.
thing. I be wanting to settle things right away. You be like, I need I need space. I don't believe in that.
Well, because it's not always, if you're always in an attack mode,
Yeah.
or trying to say what the next person did, you never like kind of like look at yourself and like how did you contribute to this incident or argument or situation that you guys are discussing. You never like look like how did you contribute to it, or if or see if you could have done something better. Then in the end there wasn't nothing learned or no growth within yourself or within the relationship. If you can't say like, all right, I could have did this better, or I could have said this better or something like that, or you're not listening to your partner saying like, hey, when you said this or when you said it like this, it made me feel this kind of way. If you don't hear that, all you hear is like, this is what you did, and all that stuff. Then there's no growth. Like I said, there's no growth within yourself or within a relationship. Like y'all can, at some point, there will never be some kind of reconciliation or being able to reconcile like anything. There's always going to be rifts.
Yeah.
Once it comes, like so, and nothing will never get resolved. There'll just be situations on top of situations, and y'all may let things blow over, but it's still like
There.
blowing over into a pile of
All the other stuff.
bunch of stuff. And so
Hmm.
so that's pretty much what I kind of got out that movie, like, and what I saw out that movie, and I don't do that. I don't know how that relationship lasts that long, because and it's all in one night. Like they talk down to each other, and then out of nowhere, like he gets a review, and then all of a sudden they're laughing with each other, and I'm like, I don't. So it's in to each his own in relation people's relationship, but like to me, that's like not a real healthy relationship. Like because I don't know, I haven't watched the whole movie, but was I don't think there was like any like, hey, my bad, I'm sorry for saying this, or whatever. I'm not sure if that ever occurred in the movie. It was just like something happened, they laugh it off, and then like I said, if nothing is really like reconciled or whatever, like there's no I'm sorry, I apologize. If you can't like apologize for what you for the pain that you caused, then you got a problem, like a personal problem yourself, and like a pride or ego problem
Mm.
within yourself that
That ego problem. That's
that
huge.
needs to be checked. But you may not, but you got to be like around the right people to be able to like check you. Like some people may try to check you, and you probably don't want to hear from that person, but you need like somebody to be like, hey, that you can listen to, that be like, hey, like you was wrong in this, or you need to so like someone to like that you can trust, that can keep it real with you. But sometimes people don't want to hear that. People always want to be right.
Yeah.
We in a world of right, like I'm right, you're wrong, all that stuff.
And
So
no one gets to win. No one wins when it's I'm right and you're wrong, and it's this or it's that, and it's either going to work or it's not. Like, I feel like a lot of times when we see unhealthy dynamic in relationships, then we copy what we see. And we may see that growing up. We may see that um around who we are around our environment. So I think you touched on a lot of good things, babe, about you know what it means to have a healthy relationship. If you can't seriously be like, man, babe, if that hurt your feelings, I am sorry, or I apologize, then it's diminishing to the relationship. For and like you said, we don't we don't find the purpose. And I think whenever we have heated debates, we don't ever find the purpose to antagonize your I don't antagonize your character. There's no purpose, or there's no reasoning for me to say, man, Randy, you suck, why are you doing this? Like, there's no reason for me to do that, because that doesn't bring any kind of resolve to the issue at hand. The issue could be like, man, why did you not turn off the oven and now we have burnt salmon? Like, now the salmon is all dry. Like, why would you do that? And then that turns into, why are you wearing that Lakers hat? That's why you're nappy. Like, there's no connection. And I think a lot of times that's what their argument was. She was upset about him not recognizing her, but it went down the rabbit hole of, man, that's why you depend on me. And that has nothing to do with her just being upfront saying, man, what you did really hurt my feelings. You didn't recognize me. And that is important in your marriage. If you cannot have healthy dynamic, healthy conversation, sometimes, we're not perfect. Me and Randy are not anywhere near perfect, but we are working on it. We're working towards it. We grow closer every day. We talk every day. We listen to each other, and then we apply and then move forward. So, babe, I want to ask you briefly, how have we changed? How have we changed since the beginning of our marriage in 2016 versus now, almost 5 years later? What has changed or shifted for you?
What changed? Hmm. I would say, probably, listening more, because I think, like I said, like when we was in college, like we were kids, we were in tough situation financially, or at least I was. Well, we both were, because we were together, and that's how we operated. Like, we didn't honestly. I think when we was in college, we didn't operate like me, just me, and you, and we're just together. We operated like a couple. So when it comes to like now, and like how we uh discuss things and whatnot, is I would say like listening more. Cause not saying I didn't listen then, but like I'll hear out, but like not like take heed to like what you were saying or things like that. It was more like, all right, okay, you know,
Hey, you
yeah,
still
like
kind of do
whatever.
that.
But now, like,
Still do that.
you know, you say certain things, and I'll hear it, and I'll kind of like, look into it, or see if that's like something I'm doing or have done before and whatnot. So I would say, like listening, and uh, I'm trying to think, because kind of just popped this up on me.
I know, babe. I'm
So,
sorry.
but yeah, things that that's changed. Uh, I would say, what, interaction towards you changed a little. More romantic things. That's part of listening too.
Yes, my birthday was lit.
So, like,
Yes.
like she always want to do like romantic stuff. So, like, that's part of listening. Like, being more affectionate and things like that. So, even though I was before, but it's like a little bit more often than the normal, like just, you know, coming home like, hey babe, just like even when you don't ask for it and things like that. So yeah.
I mean that's important. I think it's very important in any marriage that you have, and I quote on marriage, not singleness. And the reason why I say marriage is it's important to be able to attend to your mate's needs, and that kind of refers to what I was talking about last week when I was discussing, you know, when you're single, when you're not in a relationship, you have this, you need to understand who you are, what you need to work on. You need to understand your goals. You need to understand what you are and what you're supposed to do. Be of service to others. Ask God to prepare you to be the wife that you're asking to be. Because when it comes to marriage, I know that my husband is going to satisfy my love language as well as what I am going to do for his love language. And I think at first I really, I really couldn't grasp it. Me personally, my first year and going into our second was a little rough because we weren't able to understand each other's needs until we were able to sit down and be like, okay, so this isn't working. This is what we need to do. This is how we can do this and still be ourselves and not feel like we're just completely losing ourselves. We had to come up with a plan together. And that is what it means to become one with someone. You're adapting to this person that you're married to their needs. And I feel like a lot of times when you have a peaceful home, other things can take place. So you cannot, for me personally, I wouldn't be able to go to work happy if my home is not at peace. And I know you're not supposed to bring home to work, but when my heart is not settled and when me and my husband are not on the same page, I don't know how it's not okay. The whole day is trash because now I feel like it's not okay when I go home and it's something I still have to deal with. I'm a person that's like, okay, this is the issue. Let's solve it and resolve it now. He's not like that. And I've had to learn how to accept that. Another huge thing for me is I had to learn to be conscious of how my husband feels. So the same things that I am not sold on, like it doesn't move me. Like he was like, one year he was just like, I'm homesick, I want to go home. And I was like, man, I know one time I was like, man, get over it. It's you're in a whole nother state. But I can see in his face and in his gesture and how he was acting that he needed to be home. As you can see, he represents Los Angeles Lakers till the day he die. He is a lover of Los Angeles and a lover of home, and I'm not that person. And we both grow up in California. Me, I'm good at Georgia. I mean, I love my family, but I'm good. I had to learn that, like, hey babe, I understand that you want to go home and you miss home, so here, I got you a ticket. He went home for like a whole week, and that was what he was able to do. And sometimes you have to be that person to be able to satisfy that need for that individual. And that's important. That's important in marriage, not in singleness. And I say that with all love and respect, because you don't need to satisfy no man or woman's needs if you're not in marriage. What is the point? You guys are dating, and if he sees you as a wife, then that's when y'all get into the nitty gritty. But we are going to go to our next break. You are listening to Virtue with Vision, the podcast with me, Mary Lee Vance. Don't just talk it, you gotta rock it too. What am I talking about? Virtue with Vision Apparel. That's right, my t-shirt line. We not only know we're anointed, but we rock that anointed drip. We read that we should work like Ruth, have discipline like Esther, and pray like Hannah. Why not wear what you believe? Virtue with Vision apparel line believes that we not only read the word, teach the word, and speak the word, but we wear the word too. Go to www.maryleevance.com today and get your drip today. And always remember, you deserve God's best because you are God's best. Tired of dating the wrong one? Do you keep asking God, where is my Boaz? Are you ready to marry the man of your dreams? Fleshly Date or Godly Mate is the book for you. It gives you insight on the difference of dating with or without God in the middle. And it prepares you for God's best. Always remember, you deserve God's best because you are God's best. You can purchase Fleshly Date or Godly Mate at maryleevance.com. Virtue with Vision is the #1 podcast that empowers, inspires, and motivates your walk with Christ. Go subscribe to this podcast and go tell a friend. If you need something to listen to while you're driving to work or cruising out on the town, this podcast is for you. We laugh, have fun, and get a little more acquainted with God each time. Virtue with Vision, the podcast, is available on all media platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Pandora, plus many more platforms. Subscribe today so you can check out all of my past episodes. Go subscribe now. Welcome back to Virtue with Vision, the podcast. I'm your host, Mary Lee Vance, here to remind you that you deserve God's best because you are God's best. So I wanted to go into this third segment, and I know that we've been talking about marriage things, babe, but I want to ask you, what advice do you have for single ladies that are desiring to be married?
Advice that I have, I guess from a guy perspective, I would say, be careful who you choose, background these dudes, man, like, cause people are crazy, you don't know what you're getting into. Make sure whoever you decide to date or who's a potential man in your life, check them, like make sure they work, they got a sound mind, if they already got kids themselves, make sure they take care of their own. Make sure they good to their parents or see what their family dynamic is. Learn the person you want to be with. Like learn who they are. Similar to like what we did. Like when you talk about when we first like started talking. I didn't try big first moves or whatever. Trying to do the normal guy thing, whatever. And you gotta. A lady over, for the night. Like I forgot, I don't know what movie we watched, but we talked for the most part. We found out like where we're from, brothers, cousins, mother, family, all that stuff. What we like, what we don't like, things like that. Probably some stuff is like boring, like first date kind of stuff, but at the same time, like we found out about each other, things like that. So, that's one thing. Like, check the thoroughly check the person, and if they pressing up about, try to get it in quick, then gotta kick them to the curb because obviously that's all they're gonna be in for. Like, just being honest, and you got to protect yourself too. You may find someone who's attractive, and you may want to go that far too, but you got to protect yourself, because if you think that, because what they may be thinking may not be what you thinking. You may be thinking long term, they may be thinking short term, very short term, not at all term, just for the night term, so or day by, so you don't want to put all the, I guess, all your feelings into a person that in their mind, or that you don't know in their mind, that they're only, being temporary. And of course, the all-time phrase, there's like no good men left. It's just, you gotta weed them. You gotta weed out these guys. And what good guy may seem like, who's potential and all, like, could be a trip. So yeah, I would say, like, protect yourself. Like, I hear enough, like, horror stories about, you know bad things happening to women, or finding out later that, dude got a real anger problem, got a real drinking problem, got a real smoking problem. When money gets low, he don't he ain't the same person, or
Mm. Speak
uh
on that,
shoot
babe.
uh just all kinds of stuff, and the significant other sometimes is the one that, takes the the pain, or takes the beating for, their mishaps, and you know and it's hard to say, most guys, like, one time with football practice, my coach asked us, like, how many of us was born in a two parent household. I was like, it was me and then one other person. The rest of the team, like, single parent household. So most people don't have, not just a two parent household, but uh, a marriage example in their house. And even if they do have a example of a marriage, what's the family that, like, that's why you got, like, learn the family dynamic, like, how the when you see their father and their mother together, how do they act around each other? Do they treat each other right? Is that something that he may picked up on? Or that is that kind of behavior that they express, towards the women, or you, and things like that. Like, it's things you got to be careful. You can't just be blinded by, like, everything that you find good in a person, because when you're with the person, especially in marriage, you're with that person, good, bad, ugly, all, like, you ain't just getting the good part of the bread, you're getting the outside crust too, you getting the butter of the bread too. Like, you ain't just cutting out the edges and say, I just want this part, all that. Like, you get in all of that person, and in the bad times, like, when you do gotta, like, have those hard conversations, it's gonna come. Like,
Hmm.
like, sometimes, like, you wonder, like, how did we get here? Like, what are we fussing about? Like, how did we get it? How did this start? And it's because it's going to happen, just out of, whatever reason. But like, do you like this person enough to stay with them? And do they express, some of the things that we spoke about? Like, do they say sorry? Not to, like, oh, like, I like, let's be real, like, women in situations, abusive relationships, like, oh, the guy's, like, smacks up the woman, or abusive to the lady, but, like, he'll say sorry, like, oh, my bad, it was my fault. But, like, no, like, there gotta there gotta be, like, some boundaries. You gotta, have some boundaries, like, things that you're not gonna stand for. And, also just be careful, like, because guys can wait, they will wait, while you saying no. There's you probably talking to another chick that's saying yes, you know like, it's like it's we're adults here, so that's real. So like, you gotta protect yourself, and like eventually you will find that one. Like when we like how we met, we just had mutual friends.
Yeah.
She didn't even recognize me when I first walked in to her
Hmm.
friend's house. Like,
I
and
wasn't
I
even
was
checking for him, like, to be
and and
honest.
and after we did, like, see each other and recognize each other, I wasn't checking for her. Like, we it just happened that way. Like, we didn't meet in the library, didn't meet at Starbucks. I don't even drink Starbucks. Didn't meet at no coffee shop or no IHOP. Oh, I saw her, across the room on some Chris Brown stuff. Like, well, you was across the room, but you know, um, but yeah, like you, but you when you meet your person, you'll know y'all. It'll almost be like it just happens so gracefully. Like it just meshed well, And
Hmm.
at some point, if everything's all good, and that's another thing. Like, of course, in a relationship, you're dealing with another person. No, you're not gonna always like that person. But in marriage, no, you're not always gonna like that person. But you gotta be with them. You gotta like figure it out, because like when you're dating, you can just you can be like, all right, I ain't talking to you. And like, all right, bye, bye. Y'all go y'all separate ways, and get and there's like y'all leave what y'all came in with. Like in a marriage, like y'all gotta handle that. Y'all gotta learn how to handle that. So that's where that dating like comes in. Learning that person comes in, so y'all figure out how y'all can like handle y'all turmoil and still like be together, because like most people jump into these um marriages and things like that. They get married quick, don't know the person at all, never met. They probably will never see the family, at all, So, and all of a sudden, one little argument, somebody, spent the money up too fast, and now y'all ain't got groceries for food, but y'all got clothes. And all of a sudden, that one little thing, turns into, a divorce. And then all of a sudden, it's like, dang, what happened? Just off something small, because y'all didn't learn each other.
Whew, that's
So,
good, babe.
like, y'all gotta grow. And this is something, and of course, all you, most women want to find, a Christian guy, and all. Like, I was born Christian based, but I wasn't a church person, to be honest. Like, she didn't find like the most holiest man on earth. Like,
I did not.
I struggle uh um with scripture and all that. Like, she does that part, but I am part of the church. I am part of the church. I do serve in the church, so like that's something I have to grow into.
This
That was
man,
part of the.
can I tell y'all, this man that came to me one day, he said, "Why are you acting like Cain? This is not Cain and Abel." I said, "Ma'am, sir, how do you know about
I
Cain
don't
or
remember that, but I
Abel?"
probably said that before though.
Yes, you
Maybe we
have.
doing something, but
But it's just honestly how you guys decide to grow. I think Randy knew when he was coming out here. I said it's either Jesus or this isn't going to work. So he already knew with the notion that coming out here, it's marriage, it's Jesus, and it's we're finding a church base that we go to. And at that point in time, even before then, he was like, well, I really want to get to know Jesus. So he would find scripture, he would read, and then we would talk about it. We would pray on the phone. And it was just something that was so life changing for me because in college, y'all, boy, he was a not trying to go. Like, he's not trying to go
well,
at all.
it wasn't that I wasn't not trying to go. I just wasn't into church like that.
And
Like,
you came up with every excuse in the Lord's given book, okay?
look, all right. I didn't come up with like every excuse. It's just like some Sundays, after a Saturday, you just ain't feeling it, And like I said, I wasn't born in the church. I wasn't raised in the church. She was, so she's very used to she's been through the process, through the fire and all that. She does that. Me, like it was something I used to do as a kid, and then it just stopped. So but like I said, she didn't find the most holiest person,
Mm-mm.
but I am willing to be better at it. I am willing to serve in a church. I'm willing to attend, no hassle. Like, I volunteered to do stuff. Like I grown into that, but that was part of the growing part on our end after, we split up from college.
Yeah.
Um and if I wanted to be, and I knew if I wanted to be where that was going to be, part of the criteria, but I also wanted that for myself, because it's a maturity thing, um, so of course you're not going to find, all the good men don't go to church, like but it, it's just when it happens, you will know, and you don't necessarily have to like question it. And I put it like this: for me, it's like, all right, I can like not like you, but still like you. That's how I like. That's one way
What
to
that
like kind
mean?
of determine it. Like, all right, I may not like you right now for whatever reason, but it's a like I don't want to be without you type thing. As long as
You don't
as
want
long
to
as
be
that person
without
not
me, babe. You don't want to be
like
without me.
no, no, I don't want to be without. But but like I said, as long as that person, whoever you decide to be with, they're not like extreme, as in, they're not on the don't sacrifice your morals just to be with someone, that's that that's not good for you, that's not gonna like, build you up or make you be a better person yourself. Like, we like when we came together, like, certain things like she's good at and certain things I'm good at. And like we help each other. So
Hmm.
you don't want to be with someone that's not gonna like help you at all.
Like,
Like I'm not just
and
talking financially,
right.
but spiritually, if they know how to do they know how to do something well, and that's something you want to get into or be a part of, or that's something that can help you out, like you know it like let them, like y'all help each other. It's not just a, like I said, it's not just a me thing. It's not just a you when you want to blame someone. It's I'm good at this. I'm used to this. I can learn this from you. You can learn this from me. So
And I think that's such a good point, babe, because a lot of times, like I said in the beginning, opposites attract. He's completely opposite. I am a very outgoing, bubbly personality, and he is like the grouch sometimes if you do not know how to talk to him. Or if he doesn't know you and he's not comfortable, he's gonna just say hi and keep it pushing. Like, throw up the deuces and be like, all right, I'm going about my business. But once he gets comfortable with you, he's kind of like, the nonstop friend that won't stop talking. But at the same time, there's just so many things that we can relate to. So for me, I can be very aggressive if I need to talk to someone about a bill. If I need to talk, like me, I'm very aggressive. Randy is like, listen, I'm trying to talk to you before she comes. I'm trying to keep it collective so we can settle it now, because when the storm comes, it's coming. And he is that person. Like, he knows that he can calm me down. He is a logical thinker. Me, I can be sporadic. I can be like, let's just do this. And the thing I love about our relationship is that no one tries to hog the spotlight. He does not try to stop my shine. He encourages my shine. He is like, you gonna do it, girl. let's do it. Let's make it happen. He supports my dreams. He supports my vision. He supports everything that I possibly want to go after. And I do the exact same thing. But I have to just do it in a way that he sees fit. However his goals are and however he runs his mind with attacking his goals, I have to be okay with. And I wasn't like that in the beginning. I pressured him a lot. But now I fully embrace whatever his growth and however his growth is. And it's such a beautiful thing when I'm not putting the pressure on him and I'm just watching God work on him. Like, I've never seen a man that just sat there and I'm like, babe, can you pray for me? And he prayed for me. If I asked that at college, he'd be like, pray for what? Like, and for what reason? What you want me to say? Or probably not even done it at all.
I probably wouldn't have done it.
See, I'm trying to tell y'all. Like, this is not made up.
The growth is real.
Yes, it is. He was not that person at all. If I was like, let's pray, he'd be like, all right, shoot, you go ahead. I'll bow my head. So it's so much growth, and it's such a beautiful thing. The man knows the word, and that's cute. That is the most attractive thing. And I wanted to let you know, ladies, that when it comes to a marriage, if your man does not have a foundation on Christ, and he don't know the word, and he doesn't live the word, you're missing out. It is the most attractive thing you could ever find. A man that can just tell you about Jesus and then be like, hey, this is what I learned in the Bible today. I said, you learned what? Hey, how do you do? But the thing is, I really don't like it. He be trying to attack me with the Bible. And I said, listen here, I don't think you should be listening to the Bible like that, because you be using it in your own defense, and I don't appreciate it. But it's all about what you guys can agree on. If you can see purpose, our marriage is not based on just love. Like, yes, I love him. He loves me. We're in this thing. But we also are visionaries. We see things. We want things to come to life, and we are hard workers. We are going to work till the bone. Like, that is what we are going to do to see something come to pass, because that's our vision, and we write it down and we make it plain. So whatever you decide that you want to have, you can create it. B. Simone said something that she was so, like, this is what you need to help. Manifest your man, manifest what you want, and you meet that. You have to be prepared for whatever God is going to provide you, and you need to understand that it's always going to be his best. So, guys, before we wrap up, I am going to say a quick, short little prayer, and then we're going to wrap it up for tonight. So, God, we love you on this evening. We thank you so much for being an amazing God. We thank you so much for giving us the platform to share our story, that 10 years later, we're still here and we're able to change lives and touch lives all around that, and help them understand that marriage isn't easy, that marriage is a work in progress. Marriage is something we work for every single day. God, I pray that anyone that is single, that is contemplating and trying to figure out if marriage should be a thing, that they have more clarity after listening to our story and what we've gone through and the advice that my husband has provided. God, we just love you, and we give your name all of the honor and the glory and the praise. Amen.
Amen.
So, guys, that wraps up tonight's show. You have just listened to Virtue with Vision, the podcast with me, Mary Lee Vance. You have just listened to the #1 podcast that empowers, inspires, and motivates your walk with Christ. That's Virtue with Vision, the podcast. Walk into this week winning in virtue. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast on YouTube so you don't miss an episode. Virtue with Vision is available on all major platforms. That's right, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Pandora, and many more, subscribe so you can check out all of my past episodes. And always remember, you deserve God's best because you are God's best. Have an awesome week.